What's up? I hope all of you are having a good day. And with that being said, this video is going to be an interpretation of the parable that I made yesterday. So let's get right into it. If you didn't watch the video yesterday, you can go ahead and watch it. But I'm going to kind of be retelling the story inside this video, but I'm going to be going like every important point, I'm going to stop and explain why that's important. You feel me? Let's hop right into it. So the story begins with them telling us that there's a bored king. What we need to understand is that there are three states of consciousness. Remember the word states, because that's very important. I'm going to insert what that means. A state is different from an aspect. So when I make a video called the three aspects of consciousness, do not get confused. Anyway, there are three states of waking consciousness. You have the dull state, the agitated state, and the lucid state. When the king was bored, his ego was causing him to be agitated because his ego was looking for some type of pleasure or stimulation, but they didn't know how to get that. You feel me? That's what happens when we're bored. It's like we want to do something, but we don't know what the fuck we want to do. You feel me? So it's like we're kind of restless, and this is because this state is a distracted state from the true self. All right. So next, we are informed that the king has a group of multiple wives. One of the wives suggests that he take a boat ride on the Nile River, while her and the rest of the wives sail the boat and play music. He agrees to this, and they start sailing. And it's very, very, very peaceful, blissful, joyful. So the wives and the music and the boat ride and all that symbolizes the peace, the joy, pleasure, and bliss that can arise while sailing along the waters of life. However, we later get informed that the wives stop rowing the boat. This causes the king to get upset, and he asks what has happened. The wife tells him that she lost a jewel that the king had gave her, and it was very important, but now that's fell inside the river. The wives stopped playing music and rowing the boat because one of the wives had lost a jewel that the king had gave her. This jewel is supposed to symbolize the inner peace that comes from true self-knowledge and self-awareness. However, when we don't have that, we can't really experience the joys and the pleasure and bliss of life for much long, because our happiness will always be determined upon an external situation instead of the inner fulfillment of knowing the true self. This is why the king gets upset and tells the priest that his day has been ruined. This is because his happiness was never coming from his internal peace and his spiritual enlightenment. His happiness was coming from the external situation of the wives playing music and rowing a boat. And now that that is no longer happening, the king is upset. Now, when the king asked the priest to help, this is very important. The priest didn't say, okay, I'll do it. The priest didn't say, okay, I hope I can do it. The priest simply said, I'll do the best that I can. Now, in my last video, when I actually said the parable, I kind of said that the priest said, I'll see what I can do. But no, the priest said, I'll do the best that I can. This is very important because even though he's saying, I'll do the best that I can, he's not attached to an outcome. He's not expecting it to work or to not work. He's just going to try his best. And this is very, very, very important when it comes to things like manifestation. When you want to do something, right? When you want something, you can't be super attached to that outcome. You just got to try your best. If it works, okay, bet. If it don't work, okay, bet. But you always got to try your best. That's why the priest says, okay, I'll try my best. He doesn't say, I'll do it for you. He doesn't say, I hope I can do it. You feel me? He just says, I'll try my best. He's not attached to the outcome. And this is why the priest has success when he looks over the boat, stands back, and says some words of power. When he says these words of power, the ocean completely stops moving. After that, it splits right down the middle. So at this point, he could walk on the ocean floor or the river floor. He walks along the river floor, finds the jewel, and gives it back to the king. And that's the end of the parable. This points to two things. One, it shows how when you harness the cosmic forces, you can do some incredible shit. Like when the priest said them words of power, the nigga stopped a whole entire river and split that bitch down the middle. So when you harnessing them cosmic forces, you can motherfucking do some crazy ass shit. And I'll give you an example. Literally, I made a video called "The Power of the Chuti." You feel me? Or Tahati, right? So that represents your intellect. When you constantly chant the Chudi's name, and you understand the Chudi, and and you basically just focus on that shit. You literally are harnessing your intellect, which gives you a better ability to reason. You feel me? So yeah, that's an example of harnessing a cosmic force. But imagine when you get really good at that shit and you start doing, and you could do shit like make rain, cause an earthquake. You feel me? However, the second and most important point shows exactly how to get the jewel back. It shows that you need to first calm the mind, which is symbolic to how the ocean just stopped flowing completely. You need to first calm the mind, which can be done with things like mantras and affirmations, which is words of power, you know. And then the second thing that must happen is that there needs to be a separation between your physical awareness and your spiritual awareness. You need to separate yourself from the physical and focus on the spiritual. And then when you do that, you can obtain the jewel again. And you could have that true self-knowledge and inner peace. And you could get that spiritual enlightenment. You feel me? This separation is actually kind of similar, minorly similar, to a separation that occurs in the books of Tahat or the books of the Shudi. But I'll save that for a different video. Also, there are many different ways to calm the mind down and direct the mind to focus on the spiritual instead of the physical, which is why the Egyptians practice yoga. There are 4 main types of yoga. Well, there's really 5, but the 4 main types I'm talking about, right? You know what? Let me save that for a different video too. Ooh. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The story, right, symbolizes how you can have a very peaceful, joyful, and blissful experience. However, when you don't have that jewel, that true inner peace that comes from self-knowledge. Now, what is self-knowledge? Your self-knowledge is when you're aware of yourself as pretty much God. Now, what is God? God is the creator, sustainer, and witness of reality. But I'll make a different video on that also, you feel me? Basically, though, when you hold that awareness constantly, that's when you get that spiritual enlightenment and you get that bliss and stuff like that, you feel me? You need that jewel in order to fully experience the joy and bliss of life. Now, with that shit being said, you feel me? One of the ways to get that jewel back is to calm the mind down via the use of mantras and affirmations, which I'll make another video about why those actually help. You feel me? And then once you calm the mind down, you got to really separate your awareness from the physical onto the spiritual. You feel me? And that's how you get that jewel back. You feel me? But it really just comes from true self-knowledge and inner peace. You got to really fully ponder into, ask yourself, who are you? Just sit down and be like, who am I? You think that could get you started. But also, I got y'all with mad videos that's gonna help y'all to obtain that godlike state. Now, believe me, I'm not always inside that shit. You feel me? I'm still on the process. But the reason why I know that it works is because I actually practice the shit that I'm talking about, and I'm noticing the changes within some of my personality, and I can't wait to share that with all you guys. If you want more videos like this, subscribe to my channel because I got y'all. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that shit. Catch you in my next video.